Today's show is sponsored by Smart. Stay tuned at the end of the show to learn how I'm using my interactive display to enhance my teaching. Hi, remarkable educators. Thank you for those of you who emailed me and asked if everything was okay last week. The podcast did take a little bit of a spring break, but that's okay. We all need a rest, even the show. So this week we're back. Episode 281, Connecting Parents to Students' Digital Lives.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today we're talking to Mike Daugherty, Director of Technology in Ohio, and he also won Ohio's 2016 Outstanding Technology Using Administrator of the Year for Ohio. So he's done quite a few things with Chromebook implementation and Google Level 1 certification for all of his teachers. But today, Mike, we are talking about your Google Certified Innovator project, Help at Home. So what is Help at Home?
Help at Home actually came out of our one-to-one initiative. One of the things that we saw from our parents was that even though we had been one-to-one for almost 3 years and we were very, very well connected in our district, many of our parents were feeling less connected with their students in their classroom since we went one-to-one. So the goal of Help at Home was to help connect parents to their students' digital lives.
Wow. How do you do that?
What we're doing right now is it's usually a weekly email to a list of about 400 parents so far, where we're covering topics like digital citizenship, security, filtering, social media, everything that really relates to how students use technology today. Really what I'm trying to do is, list out the problem or the area, discuss why Generation Z is so enamored with a certain technology or with a certain idea, and then talk about how both educators can use it in their classroom and how parents can kind of work with that idea at home. Like most currently, the one I'm working on right now has to do with selfies and social media and kind of why Generation Z spends so much time on social media, and then how educators can take that idea and use it in their classroom, and how parents can use it to have really good conversations at home about social media and about self-image and things like that.
And that is such a controversial topic. I literally heard somebody yesterday saying that most experts say that kids shouldn't be on social media till they're 18. And we're living in this world where they're obviously a lot younger than that. So what kind of response are you getting from your parents?
So far, it seems to be very well received. Parents really like kind of the short version. What I'm trying to do is I'll read 10, 15 articles about a topic and really kind of pull out the good chunks, make it a nice, concise article so they can get all that information very quickly. And I think they really I call them assignments or things they can do at home. So one of the times we were talking about YouTube and YouTube celebrities. So I had them watch a few of the videos that had gotten 80 million hits, videos that you or I might not even understand. But again, these kids are watching, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So I told parents, I go, I'm going to warn you. I'm like, these are a little confusing, but look at the hit count, 80 million, 74 million. A lot of kids are watching these videos. I wish I would have had that article a little bit later with the most recent YouTube kind of
controversy.
It would have been great to have that in there. So I might do a follow-up soon.
Well, tell us about it.
So the controversy, and I will probably mess his name up, I think it was Logan Paul, but I'm not positive, had gone to Japan and actually had done a very insensitive video about suicide. And if I'm correct, he actually showed a body on screen. It was awful.
He had gone to a place in Japan that's known for a forest where a lot of people hang themselves and came across one.
And very, very insensitive, huge backlash from that. So I would have loved to have had that in the initial article. So again, I'm looking at maybe doing a follow-up to kind of bring parents back to that idea.
Well, and this is the stuff that kids are talking about. And so if parents can have some education, they feel like they're not completely a lost deer in the woods.
Yep. And I wanted to avoid, what I'm trying to avoid is not being so centric around technology in terms of tools. So I don't want every email to be, hey, there's this tool or that tool. I really want to talk more about the concepts and the ideas and generate conversation at home, as opposed to here's just one more email pushing this tool or that tool. Don't get me wrong. I do send them out. I found a couple great ones over the holiday break that I sent out, but I'm really trying to avoid that idea and really hit more on the ideas.
So, Mike, are you posting these on a blog or somewhere so all of our listeners can read some of these?
I am. They go to my website, which is morethanatech.com. Really, this project has kind of taken over that page. So if you just go to the main page, all the articles are posted right there. Again, I'm trying to do them usually once a week. The most recent one, there was a lot more to do with it. So it's taken a little bit longer, but I feel like the content's going to be really, really powerful. So I'm excited to release that next week.
Which topic has been the most explosive in terms of response from your parents?
Oh, that's a great question. I know parents, a lot of them really like to talk about home web filtering, which is a phenomenal topic. Everybody parents differently. A lot of people like to hear about the different options they have and the different ways that they can block stuff. And they also want to know what's happening at the school district. So I talk about a program we use called Daugherty. And I really kind of go in depth on how we use it, both from the administrative side and the classroom side. And then I've also given them links to different tools that they can try at home. Unfortunately for them, Daugherty is not something they can install. It has to be done by me. But there are tons of other options at home, which are really good. So I think parents have really, really, really liked that one.
But the other thing that parents don't realize is that when those kids are on data, they can pretty much see anything they want. There's no filter, right?
Yes and no. So when they're on one of our Chromebooks, even if they're on data, they're still locked down.
But if they're on their cell phone.
Correct. If they're on their cell phone. So we did throw out a couple of options, and I got to think to save my life. I can't think of the name of one right now, but I did throw out a couple of options that parents can use when their students are using their cell phone, so they can kind of keep track of what's going on and keep them safe.
So do you think the kids like their parents being more educated, or is there any pushback from the kids?
So it's funny that you brought that up. That's kind of the next phase of where I'm going with this, is I want to start bringing kids into the mix. So everything I've been doing right now has been pretty much just my research and my point of view. So I'm going to start bringing kids into the conversation and say, okay, how do you feel about this? My general sense is I know they don't like to be, I don't want to call it spied upon, but I know they don't like their parents having access. I know that when we rolled out Daugherty at our district, there was a pretty big pushback. I laugh because 2 high school students came down and they said, "Hey, Mr. Daugherty, we want to interview you for the school paper." And I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. I would love to be a part of this." So they sit down, and the first question they say is, "Okay, so let's talk about Daugherty." And all they wanted to do was talk about home filtering. So I know they're not huge fans, but I think it's very, very important in this day and age to be able to know what your kid's up to and be able to help keep them safe.
Well, when we talk about security in my classroom, we had a conversation the other day with some of the security bugs that have been discovered, Meltdown and some of the other ones. But they were angry about this 360 app that a lot of parents are using to track them. It'll text their parents, so and so has left the house, so and so has just gone over 70 miles an hour. So, and they're just like, this is invading our privacy. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm not quite understanding here.
It's really, it's so interesting because of the way they view technology nowadays versus, you and I did not grow up with all of this stuff. So for us, it's all new. For them, they've never known a world without Google and without YouTube. So it's really fascinating to me. Again, I have 3 young ones. My oldest is 9. So I'm not in that spying age yet.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to me the way they view the world.
Yeah, and these same kids didn't see anything wrong with sharing their latitude and longitude with every single of their 500 friends on Snapchat, but they sure didn't want their parents to know where they were.
Exactly,
and you're thinking, oh, okay, this is something wrong here.
One of my favorite new apps is called Reply ASAP, and right now it's only for Android. But essentially, what happens is you as a parent send a text, and oftentimes kids pretend not to see that text. So what Reply ASAP does is actually overlays on top of the screen no matter what they're doing. So you as a parent know that they got the text and know they've read it, and then they have to at least acknowledge the text before the message will go away.
There's a million issues that we could go into in terms of, do you trust your kids? But then, children are children. Their executive functioning is not fully developed. Girls 21, boys 26, I've read. And then besides that, we humans, we make mistakes and sometimes we lie. And I know people don't want to cope with that, but that's the truth.
And again, my hope is the project will help educate parents. I'm trying to really avoid trying to tell people how to parent. That's not my goal. It's, hey, let me explain to you kind of the thought process behind a lot of this and why kids are so excited about these different platforms and what they do with them. And then you as a parent, do what you want to do. Some people may just take that information and file it away. Others may want to act on it, but at least you have the info and you can go from there.
teachers, this is an important conversation. How can you bridge this connection with home, with parents, have these digital conversations that we need to have? Do check out morethanatech.com with Mike Daugherty and all that he's doing, and use his research to educate yourself. And I also like his idea of bringing students into the mix, because we're all here together, and there's certainly many ethical conversations that we can all have around these topics. So thanks, Mike.
Very, very happy to be on the podcast. Thank you so much, Vicki.
This week, I'll be sharing the 7 pedagogical shifts that make interactive displays a key to a student-centered classroom on the Cool Cat Teacher blog, sponsored by Smart Technologies. Shift number 1 is that students are collaborators. My interactive display is the common workspace for the whole class. I use it as a digital workspace to display any screen for the whole class to see, as a large multi-touch drawing and brainstorming space, and so much more. My interactive display is a must-have device for me as a teacher.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.